Dear students, perhaps you are well. We have already passed many days with rainy, but it is our sunny morning. So perhaps your minds are so much delightful to see the sunlight. I am your semester. I have come to discuss about transformation before you. You have already known about different kinds of clauses that I have given or I have taken through 4 classes. But now, dear students, you are able to find out and to transform different kinds of sentences from simple to complex and compound. Now, I am going through these topics. I am your semester lecturer in English, Jamira Bazar Student College, Fultola, Khulna. Dear students, my topic today already I have given transformation. So, you should know about firstly simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence and vice versa. So here firstly I am to give you some ideas about simple sentence. You know that in a simple sentence we find a subject and a finite verb, and another portion of that sentences will be phrases, and another portion compound sentence. There we find 2 principal clauses, but these 2 principal clauses added by some linkers, coordinating conjunction, and then these 2 principal clauses will be named coordinate clause, and this coordinate clause clarifies its meaning without depending another clauses. So from this definition we know that 2 subjects and 2 finite verb we will find from compound sentences. Dear students, you know that complex sentence will be dependent on 2 clauses, and one is subordinate clause, another one is principal clause. Subordinate clause can't clarify its meaning without depending on another clause by name principal clause. So here principal clause clarifies its meaning without depending on another clauses, but this subordinate clause and principal clause will be added some linkers, that means subordinating conjunction. You know, I have already given you some definition, explanation and uses of this conjunction, and here now I am to give you the uses of that kind of clauses and that kind of uses of coordinating conjunction and subordinating conjunction and some other linkers, that means prepositions, to make a simple sentence. Here now I am to give you some information about our subordinating conjunction and what kind of subordinating conjunction are used to make a complex sentence. At a glance, I am to give you this information. We know that, so that, in order that, that can make a complex sentence. And we can also, this complex sentence change into a compound sentence with the help of coordinating conjunction, and these coordinating conjunctions are and so, hence, and from these 2 kinds of sentences that means compound sentence and complex sentence, we can change into simple sentence only depending in order to or to infinitive. Here I am to give some example. Dear students, now I am to take you with my blackboard. Please go to blackboard and watch minutely that how is it possible to make these changes from simple to complex or compound, or from compound to complex or simple. Now I am to give you this explanation here that at first as, since, because, or from this section, so that, in order that, and that can make a complex sentence. And we know that and so, hence can make a compound sentence, and in order to or to infinitive can make a simple sentence. And this conjunction and preposition are related with this group of words. And these linkers can be used, this conjunction can be used to make only complex sentence, and when we find so that, in order that or that, then we can use and so to make a compound sentence from that kind of complex sentences. And when, so that, in order that, or and so, we will find in a sentences, then to make a simple sentence we use in order to or to infinitive. We know that in so that or in order that, and this subordinating conjunction can make a complex sentence, and after that conjunction we use a clause, and this clause is subordinate adverbial clause of purpose. Subordinate adverbial clause of purpose, and this subordinate adverbial clause of purpose, you know that I have given in my last classes. So dear students, I want to give you some information about that. I needed mountain air so that I could blow out malaria. Here we find that so that, and this so that can make a complex sentence, and at first we know so that is the symbol of making a complex sentence, and after that clause, after that conjunction we find a clause, and this clause is the indication of purpose. So here we find this is a subordinate clause, and I needed mountain air, it is a principal clause. And we find two kinds of clauses. Now we can make these changes from that kind of clauses. We use and, or, and so, or hence. So that can be changed by and so, hence. I needed mountain air and I could blow out malaria. So here in this way we can make a compound sentence, but it is wrong, because we know that it is a subordinate clause, and when we make a compound sentence, then this subordinate clause can be used firstly from the very beginning of the sentence. So here in this sequence, when we find a subordinate clause depending on purpose, then we can use in this way that I want or wish. I wanted or wished, because it is a past tense, so we use I wanted or wished to blow out malaria. In this way we can use in a compound sentence, firstly subject and then wanted or wished or desired we can use here, and then to use, and after this to infinitive to we use the finite verb blow out malaria, and this portion of these sentences can be used after to. So, I wanted or wished or desired to blow out malaria, and so I needed mountain air. I needed mountain air. Mountain air. So, here dear students, you know that if we use only and instead of so that, then it can be a compound sentence, but its meaning will be changed. So, here we know that at the very beginning of this compound sentence we use wanted or wished or desired or expected, and then to infinitive to, and after that we can use the principal verb of that subordinate clause. And lastly, and, or, and so, and hence can be used only coordinating conjunction, and then we use the principal clauses of that sentences. In this way we can make or we can change a compound sentence and another portion compound or complex sentence. Dear students, now I want to give you ideas about to make a simple sentence, and when we use a simple sentence, then we find that we can use here in order to or to infinitive. So, here we find that subordinate clause, that means first portion of these sentences. So, in order to blow out malaria, in order to blow out malaria, and here we find that this adverbial clause of purpose, that means subordinate clause, can be used after in order to, and this after in order to we know that only the base form of a principal verb can be used after to, and another portion of this sentence will be used unchanging way. So, here dear students, you know we can use here principal clause, and that principal clause I needed mountain air. So, here we find that in order to can be used to make a simple sentence, and when we see in a sentence in order to is used to make a simple sentence, then we can use and so to make a compound sentence, and another portion so that or in order that or that can be used to make a complex sentence. In this way, this subordinating conjunction and this coordinating conjunction and this preposition or to infinitive can be used in this way to make a simple sentence and compound sentence and complex sentence. And this conjunction or coordinating conjunction or preposition cannot be used to another group, especially so dot or that or as since, because in this group we do not find this kind of conjunction or preposition here. So, dear students, in this way at a glance, if we know that this subordinating conjunction can be used to make a complex sentence, then dear students, we can use this coordinating conjunction and this preposition only. These are limited to make that kind of complex or compound sentences. So, now I am to give you another portion, another rules about complex or compound. Here we find that so dot dot that, so dot dot that, and this so dot dot that can be used to make a complex sentence, and very dot dot and can be used to make a compound sentence, and 2 dot dot 2 can be used to make a simple sentence. And this is a group, and this group will be changed from one another to another, and that conjunction will not be used out of this group. So, dear students, we know that The old sailor spoke so strangely that the guest stood still. You know that here we find the result. That means after that we find a clause, and this clause is a subordinate clause. And this is a subordinate clause. Dear students, you know that so that can be used to make a complex sentence, and from that complex sentence we can use and to make a compound sentence, and 2 can be used to make a simple sentence. But here we know that subordinate clause, that means after that we find a subordinate clause, and this subordinate clause can be a negative sentence or an affirmative sentence. When we find negative sentence, then we can use 2 to make a simple sentence. But when we find that after that a affirmative clause, then we can make this simple sentence by the help of because of. So when we will find an affirmative sentence as a subordinate clause, then we can use because of to make a simple sentence. But when we find negative sentence as subordinate clause, then we can use 2 to make a simple sentence. So dear students, now we can use this coordinating conjunction to make a compound sentence. So instead of so, we can use very, because so here as an adverb, so very an adverb, we can use the poem is very hard and we cannot understand it easily. Here we can use this very and to make a compound sentence. Now we can change this compound or complex sentence into simple sentence by the help of 2 and this 2 can be used in the place so and that. So here we use in this way, that the poem is to can be used in the place of so. The poem is to art, and here we can use infinitive to, and after this infinitive to we can use the base form of the principal clauses we can use here. So here we find that this we cannot, and here firstly we find a subject this poem, another one is we. When these two subjects are the same, then only one subject can be used to make the simple sentence. But when we find the two different subjects in a complex sentence, then we must use the objective form of the second subject, and this second subject is objective form can be used before to, and this before to with the help of preposition for. Now we can use arch for arch with the help of a preposition for, and we can use this different subject of the principal clauses we, and it is the objective form of this we can be used before to, and after to we use that the base form of this verb. So here cannot will be deleted here, we need not use here. So after to we can use understand it easily. So here in this way we can use 2 dot dot 2. But here if we use this objective form of different subjects from the first clauses, and these subjects will be used as an objective form with preposition for, because when we can change this very simple sentence into a complex or compound sentence, then we will find easily this subjective form, because here we find these two subjects are different and another one is us, and this us can be changed into subjective form when we can make a complex or a compound sentence. Dear students, we have completed 3 functions of this complex sentence or compound sentence or simple sentence when we find that the negative clauses after that, but when we find that affirmative form after that, then we can use very dot dot and to make a compound sentence. Then we can use in this way that the students so, and this so can be changed very, and here we can use very. The old seller spoke very strangely, and after that we can use and this and can be used to make a compound sentence. So here the old seller spoke very strangely and the guest stood still, and in this way we can use very dot dot and to make a compound sentence from that kind of clause so dot dot that, and after that we find a affirmative sentence. But when we can change into this complex or compound sentence into simple sentence, then we must use because of, because this because of cannot be used here, then we cannot find the full meaning or correct meaning of these sentences. So dear students, now we can use this because of to make the simple sentences. Here we find that the old sailor spoke so strangely. So here we use that because of the old sailor, because of the old sailors, and after this possessive adjective we use a noun form of a verb or any noun form of another sentences. So here we find a spoke, and we can use the gerund form of this spoke, speaking. So this gerund form can be used after a possessive adjective. So speaks strangely, then we must use the guest stood still, the guest stood still. So in this way we can change this complex sentence into simple sentence by the help of because of, as a prepositional phrase can be used at the very beginning, or it can be used after in clauses, and we can use because of. After because of we use the possessive adjective form of the subject, and here the old sailors, and this apostrophe s is used after a noun to make a possessive adjective, and this possessive adjective cannot be used with the help of a noun. So here is speaking a gerund form of this verb, and it can function as noun and at a time verb. So here we find dual function verb and noun from this gerund. So now we can use another clauses, the guest stood still, and so here we find that a subject and a finite verb, and here another portion of this sentence is prepositional phrase. So it is a simple sentence. So dear students, now we want to go another portion of my discussion. Already I have given you the formation of complex sentence, compound sentence. Now another portion we find at a glance, as since, because. we find that as, since, because can be used to make a complex sentence, and next we find and so, for, therefore can be used to make compound sentence, and another portion because of, on account of, by dint of, due to, owing to, for can be used to make a simple sentence. So it is a group, and from this group this conjunction can be interchanged to make a simple or complex or compound sentences. So dear students, now I am to give you information about as, since, because. So as, since, because can be used to make a complex sentence, and this complex sentence is related with the subordinate clause, and this subordinate clause can be a adverbial clause, and this subordinate adverbial clauses we find that a cause or reason can be indicated in this complex sentences. So this subordinate clause depending on cause or reason, and this cause or reason related clause will be attached with this as, since, because to make a complex sentence. So dear students, we know that when we will find in a complex sentence as, since, because, then instead of this as, since, because we can use and, so, or, for, or, therefore can be used to mark a compound sentence. So when we will find and, so, and, for, or, therefore, or, as, since, because we will find in a compound or complex sentence, then we use because of, or account of, or due to, or owing to, or by dint of, or for can be used to make a simple sentence. So dear students, we can quote an example from this structure. Since he worked hard, he succeeded. Here we find that he worked hard. It is the cause to be succeeded in his life. So this to be succeeded, here we find the cause of this structure, he worked hard, because without working hard he will not be able to succeed in life. So it is the cause to become successful in life. So we can use, when we find since and after, we can change into compound sentence, and this compound sentence can be changed into and, so, or, for, or, therefore. So dear students, firstly we find a subordinate clause, and this subordinate clause is related with cause, and this cause or this clause can be used at the very beginning to make a compound sentence. So here we use he worked hard, and, so, or, for, or, therefore, or, so can be used to make compound sentences. He succeeded. So here in this way we can make this compound sentence from as, since, because related a complex sentence. Dear students, now I want to give another example of making a simple sentence. So here when we will find since, or, as, or, because, and we will find for, or, therefore, or, so, or, and, so, then these clauses, one is cause and another is result. So cause or result we will find in a compound sentence, or, as, since, because will be found in a complex sentence. Then we can use this preposition or prepositional phrases to make a simple sentence. At first we use because of, we can use here, and after that we will use the possessive adjective form of this subject. So here we find he, and this he can be changed into a possessive form, and this possessive form will be past possessive adjective form. So he can be changed into his, and this is a possessive adjective form, and after possessive we will find a noun form, because without noun we will not use a possessive adjective form. So here worked is a past form. So here we can use this noun form by adding ing, that means making a gerund. So after the base form of word we can use ing. So here we now sense this gerund working hard. So here this possessive adjective must be changed from this subject, because and this subject can be used here, because when we will change this very phrases into another clause to make a complex or compound sentence, then we must use this possessive adjective change P into a subjective form here. So in this sense we use this very subjective possessive adjective form here. We can use his. So this his as possessive adjective. So after possessive adjective we will use a noun, and when we will not find a noun, then this very verb can be changed into gerund, because we find in a gerund at a time subject and verb dual function, noun and verb dual function we will find this gerund, and then we can use the principal clause he succeeded. So dear students, now we can give another speech about this complex sentence. This subordinate clause can be used in the last portion of the sentence, and this principal clause can be used at the beginning of this complex sentence. So when we will find that he succeeded is used at the very beginning and this subordinate clause is used up at the finishing of this sentence, then we must be concerned about to make a compound sentence, because related clauses can be used at the very beginning of making a compound sentence. So at the very beginning of this compound sentence we must use the cause related clauses, and then we can use and so, or for, or therefore, or so, and this coordinating conjunction can be used to make the compound from that kind of complex sentences. So this is a group. In this way we can sense many sentences. So dear students, in our next class we also use another conjunctions, and this kind of group will be set to make complex sentence or compound sentence or simple sentence. So dear students, you will save in your home and you will try to take care of your elders, and bye bye.